I'm Mr. Sappy, and this is Sappy House. It's pretty funny. Literally like 2 years ago, I was in rehab, and I was literally in the worst place of my life, and had zero hope. I remember being on the phone with my mom, and it was the day before going to rehab, and she said, "You sound hopeless." And I was like, "I am. And these people can't help me." And I think to now, and it's like, I still deal with that same lack of value in myself, and I'm working through that. But I want to give you guys kind of a background on what Sappy is, because all of you have known me as JB, and obviously that's still my name. You can call me whatever you want. But a few months ago, really like 6 months ago, it's been a crazy couple years, but about 6 months ago, I was thinking about a tree, and I was thinking about the roots of the tree, and I was thinking about the branches. And, you know, I grew up in church. I have a lot of questions about all of that now. And I think that they're good questions. I think God likes questions. But you would always hear in church, God says, "I am the vine, and you are the branch." Vine meaning the root. Branch meaning, you know, the branch, obviously. And I could never really understand that. And I was always taught to not feel, but it was coded in feel good. Just feel good. Just be happy. Just, you know, pray it away. Just wish it away. And so that's what I did. I buried my emotions for 27 years of my life. And getting back to the tree analogy, I was thinking about this tree, and I was like, what is sap? Why does a tree have sap? So I looked it up, and when a tree is wounded, when it's hurt, the roots, aka the vine, aka God, if you're following this metaphor, sends sap to that wounded area of the tree. And it's a covering. And it's this very sticky, it smells, it's a yucky, you don't want to touch it. It's like you'd rather just wash it off. And I was like, that sounds a lot like feelings. It's crazy that a tree is designed from its roots to send sap to a wounded part of the branch. And if that metaphor is true, what is sap to us? If God or the universe or something bigger, there is something bigger, were to be the vine or the roots, and I were the branch, and I were a part of this bigger thing in the universe, which all of us are connected to. All of us are these branches. All of us are one. And our root system goes down to this higher intelligence. When we're hurt, or we're wounded, or we've been through a traumatic experience, or dealt with childhood trauma, or the list goes on, fill in the blank. What does our root system, what does God, the vine, send us that might be sticky, might be a little smelly, might not really want to dig into that or touch that. And I realized it was feelings. Feelings are sap. And then we've all heard the word sappy. Sappy means over emotional. It's like a bad word. Oh, he's so sappy. Like, what are the odds that sappy means over emotional? We've truly been programmed and live in a time and day and age where we're taught not to feel. And it's such a crazy thing, because if I'm right and feelings are from the vine, then what are we doing? Who are we following? I think the purest form of humanity, when I look at it, is a child. I have a little nephew. I have 2 little nephews, and I have 1 niece. And they're so pure, and they're so innocent. And at 1 minute, they are running around happy, and the next minute, they're crying, and the next minute, they're laughing, and the next minute, they're mad. And I look at them and I say, wow, they haven't gotten old enough yet for society to tell them what to feel or how to feel. And that's why I chose Mr. Sappy. I am a 6'3", 220-pound man. I played football in college at North Carolina. Played football my whole life. Very masculine, angry. Got in a lot of fights. Really, the only emotion I saw was anger. And then I numbed the rest. And when I went to rehab, as I said, I was hopeless, and I broke. It's the quote, sometimes when things fall apart, they're really falling into place. That was me 2 years ago. Everything falling apart financially, relationally, physically. I was 160 pounds. I literally looked like I hadn't eaten in months. Emotionally, mentally, panic attacks. I mean the whole ordeal. And I'm addicted to a substance because everyone told me not to feel what I was feeling, and I didn't know how to engage with my pain. I didn't know how to engage with my feelings, and I didn't know what it meant to express. And I get sent off to a rehab, thankfully, and there was 20 guys there in the middle of nowhere. No phone, no TV, just me, the boys, the stars, the wind, the grass, and a couple cows and a couple horses. And some amazing therapists, I will say that. And I didn't know what healing was. I just knew I needed to get sober. I didn't know what and I'm still trying to figure it out, but I didn't know what a life running towards healing or walking towards healing looked like. I thought meant that I was going to feel happy all the time. Well, if you're healed, you're going to be happy. You know, the joy of the Lord. Yeah, okay. That's great. I've heard that a lot. But when I really got into it and I went through the rehab experience and throughout these weekly messages, I will be coming and speaking to you weekly in longer format in this way, just from the heart and out of a vulnerable, authentic place. I'm not a coach. I'm not your guru. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a therapist. I'm your friend. I'm just Mr. Sappy. So if you don't love we can disagree on things. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. Chew the meat and spit out the bones, because I'm still trying to figure it out too. I do not have this figured out, but I feel like I do have a message. I forgot what I was just saying right before that. What was I saying? Oh, as I got out of rehab and I had been sober for about 90 days, you know, life hits. And you don't really know, like you've been caged for 90 days in the woods with the boys, smoking cigarettes, feeling good. You know, rehab was crazy. That's what I was saying. As I continue on weekly, I will share more of my story and more lessons that I feel like I've learned. But life began to hit. And it wasn't until about 8 months out of rehab that I started posting on Instagram. May 15th, 2023 is when I started posting. And so I really didn't understand, and I'm still learning to understand. I mean, I'm 29 years old. Like, I don't know shit, honestly. The more that I think that I know, the more that I go through life, the more questions I have, and the more I'm like, I don't know anything. But what I did realize was that I was going to have to figure out how to feel all of the emotions. Grief, sadness, joy, excitement, love, worry. I've been worried the last month as I've been launching this thing, because I don't know if you guys are going to like it or not, because I have self-value issues. All the emotions. And I say all of that to say this. If there is a root system that we're all connected to, a higher thing, and its healing power, its sap that helps us when we're hurt, is feelings, then why are we numbing them? And why aren't we, instead of telling people to just bury it and, oh, you're anxious, oh, you're sad, or we have to learn to just feel it. We don't need to pray it away. We don't need to figure out some remedy to numb or band-aid this feeling. It's here to teach us something. It's here to teach us something. Feelings are our friends. And so, yeah, I'm sappy because I'm over emotional. And if people have a problem with that, that's okay. I'm a dude. I'm a man. And a lot of men don't know how to feel because we were never taught to. I've kind of had to teach myself. The women in my life have really, really helped me. And so that's what Sappy is all about. And that's what Sappy House is all about. It's a place where all of your feelings are welcome. It's a place where you can come and receive comfort and not correction. I've been corrected too many freaking times for having a certain feeling. It's just like, this isn't about correction. It's about embrace. It's about letting in. It's about realizing that you have the ability now to hold all of these feelings. And you have the ability to be sad and happy and anxious and excited. And you have the ability to grieve and to let go and to accept change. And that you have the ability to let go of control and learn to ride with the waves of life. I think that's where it all starts. And I'm so excited because I want you to come here and know that this place, I built it for you. Me and my wife. This is sacred. The message that I feel like is in me for you, and there's going to be a lot of them, but it's sacred to me, and I would never sell it off. And I would never take some deal and get paid so that someone can give me resources to own what I say, ever. Which is why we're here. And it's been a year of fighting that off. And it's been a year of it's been hard to say no, I'll be honest with you. But there's been something in me saying, this is what I want you to do. And it's been really hard to accept the fact that, if I'm being honest with you, that I was worth it enough to start it. Because I'm not qualified. And because what do you care what I say? And those are thoughts that I'm battling. And I know you're sitting there saying maybe the opposite. Maybe some of you are agreeing. But one thing I can say, and I am qualified on, is feeling. And knowing that I can make you feel seen because I'm in this with you. And knowing that I know what it feels like to have expectations slammed on me and to be corrected over and over again. And this is how you must do it. And if you're feeling this way, there's something wrong with you. I'm here to give you the biggest hug and embrace that you could ever have and say it's going to be good. And we're going to get through this together. And this is a place where you can come and find the comfort to be able to take a step into the uncomfort. It's like your hub. It's your hub as you're weaving through life and following your gut and following the goosebumps and following the vine or God or whatever it is. That is what Sappy House is for. It's a sanctuary. It's sacred. It's for you to know that you're not alone, that there's nothing wrong with you, that it's okay to feel, that you're valuable, that you're loved, and that I see you, and that there's a community of people that see you and that feel seen by you. Sappy House isn't Sappy House without you. I'm not Mr. Sappy without you. I want to learn to feel again, and I'm still learning. I want to learn with you. I want to learn to love deeply. I want to learn to cry. I want to learn to acknowledge my pain and hold space for that little boy in me. And I want to help you do the same thing for that little boy or little girl in you. And I think that takes a ton of strength and courage, but most importantly, a ton of gentleness with yourself. And I'm here to nudge you in the direction of being gentle with you. I don't know what your perception of me is, but I can tell you my perception of myself. And that perception probably doesn't match what you see me as and what I see me as. And I'm learning to be gentle with me because I'm pretty damn hard on myself. And if you're anything like me, you're probably pretty damn hard on yourself too. And I think we can find a way together to be gentle for not only us, but for those around us that don't know what gentle is. I'm being gentle with me right now, giving myself the chance to do this because I ran from it for about 6 months. For about 6 months. Because I was scared. And I want you to be gentle with you. And I want you to fall in love with you. And I want you to learn to trust you. And so, welcome to Sappy House. Every single part of you, even the darkest part, is welcome. And I want you to know together, I think we can make a difference. But the difference we have to make first is with the relationship with our little selves. If we can treat them gently, because they're in us, if we can let them, just like my nephew, cry and laugh and be anxious for a little bit, and we can reparent ourselves with, we're adults now, we have logic, we have a prefrontal cortex, we're able to understand situations, but if we can give ourselves the space to express, I think this world would look a lot different. And I think weekly as we go, and I want you to know that I'm here for the long run. I don't do this stuff and it's not like I'm not going to show up. I'm showing up for the long run every single week for you and for me and for little you and for little me. So I love you. I truly do. I love me too. proud of me. All right.
Take a left turn, cross the railroad to the beach house. Tiny light flakes all around us as we glide.
What's up, guys? It's Mr. Sappy, and welcome to Sappy House. Y'all probably seen the first video. That was kind of an intro into what this is all about, and really about what I'm about. And really, this is the first video where I'm going to be doing like a talk. This isn't your normal motivational speech or whatever. It's really me just flowing. And I've picked a topic. I've given it a title, but I'm really just going to flow on it and see where it takes us. And so this topic I'm really excited about. Sappy of Hearts. The reason I picked that title is because there's a few reasons. Number one, it sounds cool, obviously. It's like Queen of Hearts or King of Hearts, but it's Sappy of Hearts. And the other reason is to explain to you that you are a Sappy of Hearts. What does that even mean? I know you're asking me. I'm going to tell you. But before I tell you, I want to give you maybe some background on why I'm even talking about this. For a lot of my life, I didn't believe I was pure. My core wound, and the wound that I'm still working through, is truly inadequacy. And I look back at how I was raised. I love both of my parents. I look back at their parents. I look back at the world that shaped us. I look and I can see beliefs and even schools and all the stuff as we grew up together. And I wonder, was I just born feeling not enough? And I can't come to terms with that. I know I talked about kids last time. Babies and young toddlers that are raised in a healthy place, they're curious. And I'm pretty sure that they have self-value, and they don't even know it. They're able to express themselves. There's an innocence and a purity that you get with a little kid and that you see from a child. And somewhere along the line for me, and I'm sure somewhere along the line for you, that purity was taken. I was going to say that purity was taken, but I think that is not what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is someone buried that purity, or they made you bury it, or they told you to bury it, because you had to fall in line with this belief system. And if you didn't, then you were this. I think it's belief systems. I think it's traumas. I think it's the actions of others, especially as children. At a certain point, all of us lost that sparkle. We lost that curiosity. Do you remember when it would be for me, it was Christmas morning. When did I stop getting excited for Christmas morning? I remember being in first grade and I would be so excited to go to school. And I would wake up at like 5 a.m. and I would put on all my school clothes, including my shoes. And then I would get back in bed with all my stuff on because I was that excited to go out into the world. There was a purity there. There was just this authenticity. There was this knowing of who I am. And I think subtly over time for me, and maybe it was subtle for you, or maybe it was at once, or whatever your story is, it's like that purity, like I said, it's not taken, but it's buried. And then we get into our adult years, or late teens, adult years, 20s, 30s. I'm not in my 30s yet, so I can't speak for 30-year-old people. But me in my late 20s, and I'm like, where did that go? Who told me that I couldn't be that way anymore? Did they mean to tell me? It's just growing up. It's just, it's a cruel world out here. Yeah, I get that. I get that bad things happen. I get that people are in bad places. I get that when we're so little and things happen and we don't understand. But we have a responsibility of understanding who we really are. I think that's what healing is understanding who we are before it was buried. Because we were born with it. We were born Sappy of Hearts. We were born pure. We were born with this innocence. We were born with this authenticity. We were born with these pure intentions of loving and wanting to help people and doing it for the right reasons, not people pleasing. We were born with kindness. We knew when to say no. Even as kids, a little kid says no. We were so pure. And then I keep on wanting to say it was ripped from us, but it wasn't ripped from us. It was shoved down deep in some compartment, probably somewhere around here. For me, I was getting personal with you. Like it was 2 weeks ago, I was thinking about this. We had moved to Arizona. I was born in Louisiana, but we had moved to Arizona when I was 6, and we lived in Arizona for 3 years. And then my dad and my mom told us, hey, we're going to move to Texas. And I remember me and my middle brother, I have 2 little brothers. I remember me and my little brother, my middle one, he's 3 years younger than me. We were so excited. We were jumping and hugging, and because we were going to Texas, and we had family there. And what I didn't know is my mom didn't want to go to Texas. She had been trying to make a home for herself her whole life. And she had finally done that. She had finally let go of the pressures of her family and everything around her and her past. And that's her story to tell, which maybe one day we'll get her on here to tell it. And I asked myself, when did I misplace, or when was the purity of my childhood and my Sappy of Hearts When did I lose that card? And it was when we moved from Arizona to Texas. I remember, and it's so funny, I never even thought about this until 2 weeks ago. And this is the great thing about reflecting and asking yourself questions and getting to the bottom of things, because it puts things into perspective and it helps you understand you and your story and your feelings. And it just kind of came to me, and it'll come to you too. Ask yourself, when did that go away? When did the excitement turn into extreme anxiety? When did the nighttime turn into extreme scared time, when before I wanted to adventure all around and go outside and I wasn't scared? Like, when was the purity and the fear inserted? And so I remember we moved to Texas. We literally moved, we in Arizona, we lived in a cul-de-sac, and there was a park by my house, and it was this awesome place. Every single neighbor, we were friends. All the kids, we would go rollerblading and have so much fun. And then we moved to Texas in a new development area, and it was literally us and coyotes. And I remember at nighttime we'd hear, ow. It's like probably 2002, 2003. And as a little kid, I was 9 at this time. My little brother was probably 6, and my youngest brother had just been born. He was, probably not even a year old yet. And me and my middle brother started fighting. We had never fought before that. We started fighting. I remember he literally pushed me into the bathtub one time. My dad had started a new job. He had a lot of pressure, but my mom was broken. And I don't know how us kids pick that up. It's the law of transference, I guess. These things transfer. And it wasn't her fault. It was just that she had finally felt good, and a job opportunity made her and my dad pick up and move all of us to a new place that we'd never been. And as a kid, you get excited because it's something new. That's the other thing. As a kid, you're excited for change. Another part of being a Sappy of Heart. I think it's so important for us to realize where our own insignificance comes from, because it's not from us. I think it's so important for us to realize where our fear comes from. And I say our fear because it's not from us and it's not ours. Where did that anger come from? Where did that deep resentment come from? Where did all of this numbing my feelings come from? Where did this people pleasing come from? When did I stop saying no? When did I have to turn into Mr. Oldest brother, please everybody? When did I have to turn into the two-face that had to live two different lives because my parents couldn't see me and know what I was doing? And this is not to point fingers at parents. This isn't to point fingers at guardians or the system that you were raised in, because this isn't about people. If we take it a step deeper and we're really wondering why we lose our Sappy of Hearts, I believe it's a spirit. Some people call it a curse. Generational trauma, generational curse, principalities, fear. Mr. Fear. Oh, Mr. Fear. And I think Mr. Fear has a really unique and deceitful way of inching his way into our lives through the ones that we love and the beliefs and the places and the systems that we believe in. And then we get really confused. And we wonder what happened. Some of us don't even ever ask what happened. We just accept it. Because who I was then, I'm not now. Because this world hardened me. No, it was Mr. Fear. And I think back, and this is to give you some ability to have some compassion, because you can't find your Sappy of Hearts until there's compassion. And there's not only gentleness with you, but there's gentleness with the ones that introduced you to Mr. Fear. Because they didn't know any better. But I think back on my mom's childhood, and it was rough. Her dad just passed away. I didn't know him, really. Met him 3 or 4 times throughout my life, but he was in prison for a long time, and he wasn't around. I can't even go into the stories about my mom's childhood because it's like a movie. And I think how I was 9 when Mr. Fear was introduced to me, she was probably 3, 4. Maybe even younger. I think about my dad. I love my grandparents, my mom's mom, Nana, and I love Mimi and Papa, my dad's parents. When were they introduced to Mr. Fear? Was it at the Baptist church down the road? And fire and brimstone and you're all going to hell? Fear has a very discreet and detailed way of entering into a line. And it's always been there. And it steals our Sappy of Hearts, our purity, our innocence. And it says, worship me. And you can go back and back from my grandparents' parents. Lines. I mean, you look at history. This isn't a history lesson, but you can look at history and have compassion, because what you've felt, they felt. But what they didn't come to understand is that I was never made this way in the first place. I have power over Mr. Fear. I have a card in this deck that when I flip it on the table, Mr. Fear runs. And that's my Sappy of Hearts. And so the point of this speech and talk as I'm riffing is to let you know who you are, not what Mr. Fear told you to be. I'm not talking about your parents. I'm talking about Mr. Fear. I'm not talking about this organization or this belief system or any of it. I'm talking about Mr. Fear. They know no better. You're on a higher plane of thinking now. They know no better. And you have to come to know to help them not listen to Mr. Fear anymore. It's not them you're mad at. It's Mr. Fear. And that's true compassion, is having understanding of it wasn't them trying to hurt you. Now, there are situations and scenarios, and I have stories of my own that I'm not going to go into, where people truly did hurt me. I understand that, and that's a resentment. But when it comes to these subtleties, and when it comes to everyday life, and just somehow all of the purity is drank up and gone one day, Mr. Fear was involved. So like I said, I'm here to remind you who you are. I'm actually also here to remind you that you never lost your Sappy of Hearts externally. You just lost it internally, which actually means it's just like, it's like you have a deck of cards and you have all the cards, but your Sappy of Hearts is just somewhere in this drawer. It's not gone. You just got to look for it. That's why I said they didn't take it from us. They didn't take that. Mr. Fear doesn't have the power to take your Sappy of Hearts, just to hide it. And that's the beautiful thing, is because we have the upper hand in this scenario. And Mr. Fear knows it. So how do I remind you? Some fluff right there. How do I remind you? I remind you by helping you remember. You have good memory. That was you. That is you. Now, was that you or that card misplaced? Yeah. Why? Because you were innocent and you weren't an adult and you had no way of understanding how all of this worked. And it left you confused. But I'm here to tell you that you are pure. I don't care what anyone's told you. I don't care what anyone has told you, because if it doesn't agree with you are pure and you are worthy and you are lovable and you are valuable, those words are from Mr. Fear. Those are not your thoughts. And I battle Mr. Fear on a daily. And I know it's him. But like I said, I have the upper hand because I know who I am. And I want you to know who you are. You're a Sappy of Hearts. That excitement, those mornings where you just couldn't wait to get up. You'd walk outside and smell the smell of grass, or you would be playing with a caterpillar. Days in the sandbox, climbing a tree. Not a worry in the world. Maybe some. That's who you are. I don't care what you've done. I was a drug addict, bro. Like, I was a drug addict. I literally failed. I was on full ride scholarship at North Carolina for football. I failed 3 drug tests. 3. And they pulled my scholarship my senior year, and I deserved it. But I didn't know how to quiet Mr. Fear in my head, and weed was the only way at that point. And I'm not saying weed's bad. Then I got into harder drugs, painkillers and whatnot, to make Mr. Fear be quiet, because I didn't know I had the upper hand and I didn't know who I was. And I made a lot of stupid decisions in my life, and I've hurt people, including my wife. hurt my parents. I've hurt my little brothers. My grandma would give me money every week. She was so nice. And I spent it on stupid shit. One of the things Mr. Fear loves is for you to resent yourself. But most of the time, the things that we resent ourselves for are the things that were to silence Mr. Fear's voice in the first place. And that's also a part of the compassion piece I'm talking about. Not only must you have compassion for others, but even more so, you must have compassion for yourself. Because if you're going to walk in through a life of unforgiveness and blame it all on you, yeah, you made some stupid decisions. You're human. Earlier today, I was short. Someone wouldn't let me over in a lane, and I honked, and they flipped me off, and I flipped them off back. And then I was like, whoa. That's not me. And I had compassion with myself. And I apologized to my wife I said, look, that's not me. I'm sorry I did that. And like, she was like, no, they deserved it. But they kind of did. But like at the same time, that's not me. That doesn't mean I'm going to judge myself, but I am analyzing myself. And so what I am saying is, you must find this compassion for you. And you do that from understanding the root of the issues that have arose in your life. And the root is Mr. Fear. Are you courageous enough to forgive yourself? Are you also courageous enough to forgive those that hurt you? Because they were hurt too. And the main thread between all of the hurt and all of the pain in your life and in others' life, and the pain that you inflicted on other people because of your fear, has always been Mr. Fear. Are we going to continue to give Mr. Fear power? Or are we going to pull out our Sappy of Hearts and put on our poker face and go all in and lay the cards down and let him know, you have nothing on me because I now know who I am. I am the hand. I am the card. You're pure. Your intentions, God, you have such amazing intentions. Don't let people tell you otherwise. You love people. You love yourself. You might not feel like it right now, but deep down, that's who you are. You love yourself. You love people. You're trustworthy. You keep your word. You say no when you want to say no, and you say yes when you want to say yes. You're a person of principle. You have values. You know what's right and what's wrong. And you know that there's also a lot of gray area. And you are smart enough and logical enough and in tune with yourself and the universe enough to weave through and make the decisions that you need to make. You're powerful. Your voice echoes through eternity. Your thoughts. They're beautiful. They're full of hope. Fall down as a kid, you skin your knee. Fall off your bike, running because you're a little clumsy. You're not crying all night. You put a Band-Aid on it. And you wake up and you let it heal and put some Neosporin on it. You have hope for tomorrow. You have hope for the next moment. Yeah, life feels like it's coming in on you. But do you know the hand that you have? Do you understand who you are? I'm trying to tell you. Do you understand that Mr. Fear has nothing on you? Do you understand that you can live the life that you dreamed of as a kid out of that purity? Do you understand who you are? I want you to know, because once you know, you can start going down the journey of digging through the drawer to find that Sappy of Hearts. And Mr. Fear knows it. And some of you have already found it. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so happy. And I want us to send good thoughts to those who go on their journey to find. And you don't have to go anywhere but inside. It's right here. Really knowing it is the best part. Becoming aware that you have the upper hand, and becoming aware that the good old days that you wish for, and those feelings and the love of life, and it's like, what's the quote? It's like, I'm homesick for a place that I've never been before. I think we have been there. It's just a very distant memory. But you have the power and the ability and the permission to remember. You are a Sappy of Hearts. You have all the answers that you need within you because you're connected to something bigger. Things are going to work out for you. Just find your Sappy of Hearts. It's in your drawer. It's right there. Just look through it. It'll be glowing. Pick it up and receive it. I had a really hard time accepting it. I had a really hard time saying, is this mine? Because this sounds too good to be true. It is yours. And it's mine too. And we can be at peace knowing that it is. And the lies that we've been told from Mr. Fear, they're just lies. I'm saying this now, just being vulnerable. I am good enough. I'm valuable. I have pure intentions. My motives are very good. Things are going to work out for me. Yeah, I might get scared sometimes. That's okay. You can't be brave if you're not scared. I just want you to know who you are. And I want you to know that I can't give you a step-by-step process of how to overcome Mr. Fear, because your job is to literally just wield your Sappy of Hearts. All of us have different circumstances. All of us have different experiences, but all of us feel the same things. That's why we're connected, is because we feel the same thing. And once you have your Sappy of Hearts, which you already have, just get it in your hand. Once you have it, you're going to know what to do. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just trying to tell you to get it. I'm just trying to tell you who you are so that you can make that decision, and that you can begin taking the steps to not living life normally. Because it ain't normal. That's the biggest lie of it all. And I want to add on to that. Like I said in my last video, it's okay, and we want to feel all of our feelings. All of our feelings are welcome. From sadness to all of those feelings are so important and a part of this. We have to grieve. It's a process of grieving and sadness and joy and laughter and all of the things. Sometimes worry. What Sappy of Hearts gives you is hope. And sometimes that's the one ingredient that we're missing when we feel. Hope. That is what Mr. Fear is here to take. Hope. And so we have the ability to feel everything that life brings to us and to grieve it and to love it. But when we wield the Sappy of Hearts and when we know who we are, we can feel it from a foundation of hope and knowing that we already have the upper hand. I don't want to keep rambling. I think I've made my point. I think. If you have any questions, let me know. Shoot me a DM or something. I just need you to get it through your head of who you are. And if you want to question yourself, go ahead, but you're just wasting your time because I promise you that's who you are. If anyone doesn't deserve hope, and this is Mr. Fear talking, if anyone doesn't deserve hope, it's me. I don't know what you've done. I don't know what's been done to you. But I know what I've done, and I know what's been done to me. And hope was the last thing on my mind. Survival was number one, sadly, and that's normal. Be who you are. And let hope rise up out of you because it's there. Know that Mr. Fear has no power over you. Whatever Mr. Fear is. I don't freaking know. I just don't like him. And I got him beat. It's kind of sad. He's like a little brother. So you always beat your little brothers. It's like lions aren't concerned by the opinions of sheep. You're a lion. You're a Sappy of Hearts. Don't let a sheep, Mr. Fear, wreck your life anymore. It's time to rebuild. It's time to have fun. It's time to let the pressure off. All that pressure that you feel, guys, we put so much pressure on ourselves. I said it again. Mr. Fear puts so much pressure on us, and we believe him. Find your thoughts of origination. Where did it originate? Is origination a word? Where did your thoughts originate? We have to think from there. Who was I? Who am I? You know who you are. You're a Sappy of Hearts.